Hi, it's another segment on the SDA Software Developer's Assistant. We're mainly going to look at standard work products and our mapping to our GPRs, MPRs, CMI, and all the other NASA standards that you need to worry about, but the system will take all the worry away. What I'm going to do here is load up the SDA full project. Brings up the life cycle. One other thing is we show you a map here, and we click. It'll bring it up. This case comes from PMC and take corrective action. Click here. So these are all predefined by the process team. And what you're seeing here now as I move from the life cycle over to perform work, back to life cycle. As work is performed, and there's a module on that. As work is performed, the approved work product list or document list, these names are in the gray section, the darker gray. The actual documents that the team has set up as approved documents for that specific activity that it calls for, these show up as your inputs, and your outputs would be what needs to come out of that particular activity, which is we need an SMPPP. So we have that. You can also have unspecified documents. You can have more than one document. But the activities themselves are mapped, and we showed you that here in our basic example in the life cycle. And they're mapped to these settings. Now we're going to show you a couple things about that. So I'm going to need to go into my private pages, which is my private workspace that I've set up. My private workspace is set up. It can be pretty much anything. I'm looking at a project summary by groups and by the project name. Looks like cake is late, so I guess I missed that party. But we're looking at SDA full here. I'm going to double click on that and bring it up. And you'll see I got a lot of information telling me where it started, where it's at, who's complete, who's set up, things like that. We're going to talk about mapping today, but I just wanted to give you a little shot about the project summary. And if you are a person that has to manage multiple projects, there's a simple screen for that, which you just saw, and that will display all your different projects down to the nth level. What I'm looking for is the standards compliance report and this direct artifact report and the document activity mapping report. Now, I would say almost every engineer or software engineer designer, when they work on a plan, I'm sure in the back of their mind is not every little code or standard that you need to meet. But by producing what you normally make, you probably cover 80 to 90% of the required artifacts. This system will make it a little easier so you can not have to worry so much about the rules and regs, but we can make sure that you're meeting those. So I set the project up here for SDA full. The standard I'm looking for today is CMI. That's all we have loaded for the practice run. But you can see we have the MPR 7123, the NASA standard, which is the safety one for 8719, MPR 7150.2a, MPR 7120.5d, and we will have our own GPRs there. So we're picking CMI. We're also going to pick a level. On the other NASA standards, it's obviously done by the software classification if it's safety or not safety. There are two possible selections. In this selection, we're going to pick the graphical view. Remember, this is a small sample. But what you'll get is the actual name and area. And if you've got some headway, if it's not mapped at all, if it is mapped and you're not meeting it, which is red, which I expect because, like I say, this is a small test. Now you'll notice here in take corrective action, we're about almost 47%. Not good enough, but each area will obviously point out where you need to go back and get some help, maybe from software process improvement team or yourself. It'll just pinpoint it. Maybe you missed a document. maybe you missed an activity. Okay. Now when we get down here and estimate the scope of the project, we're 100%. The established estimates 100%. Life cycle phases, estimate and cost all 100%. And again, this is a very, very small subset, enough to get the point across. This would occur for anything. You could run this monthly, quarterly, yearly, but there's no reason to be, running around at the last minute trying to prep for an audit. What I did there is change to a detail view. A detail view is a textual table-like view. It will actually tell you the different activities that are assigned to those, in this case, CMMI mappings. All right. And it will also even give you down to the the location of the document that's going to say, hey, this is what I did in that activity, who did it, and the effort. And when an audit comes along, they're pretty much going to look at that and say, wow, everything's together. It's amazing. And that's the whole idea of the tool, is to help you organize it, keep it there. You're not going to search for it. You're not going to go crazy. So we bring up the view, click view. It gives you a message, and then it will actually download. You can bring it into your word processor or whatever document you need to view it in. And again, it tells you check mark if the activity is complete, what your effort was, and you can see that's a nice mapping. All right. But the graphical just gives you a real quick hit or miss. And remember, I've only put in the project planning part. I haven't, and some of the risk management. We're probably less than 15%, and I'm already hitting green on certain things. So it takes a lot of the difficulty out of it. Standards Direct Artifact Report. Again, brings it up. You want to pick an area. We're going to pick CMI again, level 2, and we're going to run the report. And these reports can be fairly large. Sometimes they take a while. In this case, your plus opens it up. So let's go down to project planning, because you'll probably get the most bang for the buck there. And we have establish, estimate the scope. And you notice when I picked that, look what came up. So item description, okay, item name, and it gives you all the different work products. Remember, these are predefined by us through the work products out of the 7150 handbook that's approved. And then you, the users, just assigning a particular document that has that content in it. And this way you can map it out that way. So pretty cool way of getting your reports, getting your mappings in there. Okay. Now one other thing you can do. One other thing you can do here is to see your document control. Now your approved documents were most of the ones that I've loaded for evening, and you can see people can subscribe to them. You can actually share these documents with people, to other teams, to other projects. You got your view detail, history, checkout, and remove. So pretty standard stuff here. You can actually review documents. And remember I said there's a review feature. If you had pending reviews, they would show up, and then people have to actually go through it. And here's an actual review going on. We had the cake mix recipe, and we had some optional reviewers that didn't get it done, and then you basically put in your password and approve it or reject it. But it's a pretty standard little thing, but it's a nice little tool for us. Just wanted to show that on the back end here with the mappings and your documents. And one other thing I'm going to show you real quick here is under the SDA full, under the work products. When you're building your project, all those approved documents become a work product. And again, that can be view details, history, full audit trails,